The Professional Women's Bowling Association is in Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are bright outside, but the stars are shining inside at Sam's Town for the Sam's Town Invitational. Hello, everyone. I'm Leandra Riley along with Jan Schmidt. And Jan, I don't think I can do this standing up. I have never seen so many 300 games in my life in a tournament. There were 10 here this week. But our number 2 qualifier, Marianne DeRupo, she bowled 4 of them, 2 of them back-to-back. I got to sit down.
No. Please stay here with me. Don't sit down. There's a good reason for it, although I understand your excitement. This has not happened since 1994. It only happened once before, 10 300s in Omaha, Nebraska. The reason, new bowling center, beautiful lanes, beautiful conditioning, and the best bowlers in the world. But Marianne DeRupo throwing 4 of them. Our old record for an individual player was 2 in a tournament. So for her to shoot 4, it's phenomenal, and I think it's something we may never see again.
And how sweet it is that it's happening here at a major event, the final major stop of the year. Now, Marianne DeRupo brings a lot of experience with her. We're going to go to the other side of that coin. Our number 3 and number 4 qualifiers are Debbie Ranella and Julie Gardner, and they have not been on TV in 1998, nor have they won this year.
That's true, and they don't have a lot of experience, but both players have something working for them. They're comfortable here at Sam's Town. Julie Gardner made the show here in the doubles event last year with Cheryl Daniels, and Debbie Ranella won this in 1987 as Debbie Bennett made the show here also in 1990, so I think their experience here at Sam's Town should help them get through the nerves tonight.
All right, we've talked about the middle of our stepladder finals. Now let's talk about what's sandwiching them together. Our number 5 and number 1 qualifiers, Anne-Marie Dugan at the number 5 spot and Dee Dee Davidson at the number 1 spot. And the reason we put these 2 women together is they are both in the hunt for the Triple Crown. Both have won the Queens, both have won the U.S. Open in their careers, but Sam's Town has eluded them. So they both have a shot at that tonight, and how great it would be to end 1998 with a Triple Crown. Okay, now we talked about Marianne DeRupo having all those strikes, and of course she's done a lot in the 5th frame with those strikes. So she wants me to put her bowling center on top of our drawing basket for the Bud Frame Hall of Fame tournament, in which we're going to pick the bowling centers and decide who gets to go to St. Louis for that free trip. So let me just...
I don't think so. I don't
No?
think the other centers would be very happy. We're way past the deadline on that.
Oh, sorry, Marianne, I tried. Okay, let's pick our bowling centers and see
Okay.
who will go to St. Louis, Missouri, and I'll set this one down. We're going to pick 4 centers, and throughout the telecast, we will name the 4 individuals. The center that we're going to talk about now is Summit Lanes in Lee's Summit, Missouri. That center has been picked, Summit Lanes. Our next center is from Marietta, Georgia. It is the Brunswick Azalea Lanes. The next center is from Loves Park, Illinois. The center is Forest Hills Lanes. And the final center that we're picking tonight will come from Park Lanes in Anchorage, Alaska. Wow, that's a faraway trip to St. Louis, Missouri. Good luck to them. All right, so we've named our 4 centers, and now it is time to do some bowling here at our last major invitational. Anne-Marie Dugan will face off with Julie Gardner. Let's bowl. Now here is where it helps to be experienced. You know Julie Gardner's heart is pounding. She has opted as a number 4 seed to let Anne-Marie Dugan bowl first.
Of course, because Julie wants the pressure to be square on Anne-Marie's shoulders. Julie wants it off of hers in the 10th frame.
And she's smiling. Why would you smile if you lead the 10?
Well, it's only a 10.
Okay.
It hit a little half pocket. She could have left a number of things, but she's just happy to be underway, get her first shot off, and happy to be on this telecast. She made a huge run to get here.
Our bowling pair here at Sam's Town are lanes 19 and 20. I'd say we're somewhat in the middle of the house. Good crowd here on hand. From Huntington Beach, California, we now get our first look at Julie Gardner. Technically 4 years as a pro, but this is really her first full year out. This is her 11th event of 1998. She usually doesn't bowl that many, but now she's got the full-time commitment. Come on, no.
Ooh, and a good opening shot, though, leaving that kind of a light 7. Everything blew across the lane. Julie was in a job. She was working out at Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to bowl or work. And so she'd come out here and then go home and didn't really make a commitment. Now she's made that commitment, and you can tell it's helped her game.
And it doesn't matter if you leave them as long as you convert those spares. That is so much a big part of the success story on the PWBA. Marking in every frame. So after the first shot, we are even. Her average for the week, oh, look at those numbers, 228. And she's a number 4 qualifier. So the pin dropping this week. And they dropped for her in the second frame here in this opening match against Anne-Marie Dugan.
Yeah, Leandra, these were just such amazing numbers. It was fun for the crowd, though, to watch, to see all these huge scores bowled. And once again, anytime you put a good condition on a new lane surface, it's going to account for high scoring with the great ladies that are bowling out here.
Again, number 10 remains stubbornly up there.
Her ball's not quite hitting hard enough. 6-pins lane in the channel because of the direction the ball's coming through the pocket. Just going to change balls here, shooter spare. Wants to throw a ball that'll go straight.
Again, she converts. I've got a good friend, Stewie Dolgen, who's a big fan of women's bowling, and he was unable to come out here to Las Vegas for health reasons. And I just want to wish him the best, and I know he wants to be here, and he supports the women bowlers and watches it all the time on ESPN and never misses. So a big hello to him, and I hope he's feeling better. Now what do we do?
10-pin, 10-pin, 10-pin. She made a little move on that lane. That ball finished harder. The 6-pin kind of flew around instead of laying down in the channel. She's making subtle adjustments, and she'll get it fine-tuned. She's right there. She doesn't want to make a big move because obviously what we played on this week, if you're familiar with bowling, the lanes were a little bit drier to the right, a little bit more oil in the middle. So if she makes too much of a move, she'll hit that dry in her ball hook. She's just trying to stay out of trouble and fine-tune the first few frames.
And continues to mark through 3. But it is a 2-pin advantage for Julie Gardner, who has a spare and a strike for her opening frames here in the opening match. Julie Gardner's mom, Linda Gardner, is here. And she's got an interesting sponsorship situation that I'd like to talk about after this shot. Nice shot. She has 20 friends that all chipped in to sponsor her, as opposed to one person or one corporate sponsor. 20 friends each took a share in her future.
And that's how a few of the players do that. Debbie McMullen does it that way. It's her friends back at Fountain Bowl, and she wants to thank them so much because they hung with her even though she was indecisive. She stayed home a while. They said, that's okay. Keep the money. When you're ready to go, go. And now she's ready, and look what it's done. And she just feels very fortunate to have friends like that.
Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California. So a very grateful Julie Gardner has a turkey just after turkey time. We'll be back with more of this opening match after this. The Samstown Invitational is being brought to you by AMF Bowling Worldwide, the largest owners and operators of bowling centers in the world and one of the leading makers of bowling products. AMF always means fun. And by Budweiser and Bud Light, the official beers of bowling. And by MasterCard. There are some things in life money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And you are looking at Anne-Marie Dugan. And Jan, your husband was out this week here at Samstown. Her husband's with her almost every stop on the tour. Is that a big benefit, traveling with your family like that?
Oh, it is. It helps a lot. It's nice to have support as we watch. Someone must have been supporting that 7. It didn't fall. Came in light. Family support is important, especially when we're on the road as much as we are. To be fortunate enough to have them out with us every so often is great. However, you do have to learn how to deal with them when they make suggestions on your bowling. It is a learning process.
Oh, now we have an open frame. Now earlier, Jan reminded Anne-Marie Dugan that she made 4 of the last 5 shows, and her game's back in top form. To what does she attribute the success?
You know, Jan, I was struggling earlier in the year, and I just was fishing, trying to figure out what was wrong. My swing was messed up. And Pat and I went to Fred Borden's house in Akron. We went trying to work out a little bit. And between the 2 of them, we figured out that my foot pattern, I was walking away from my shot. So I just got to where I got a straighter foot pattern, walking more into my shot, and everything's just come together for me.
And we will watch her foot pattern the next time she steps up. But it's certainly on the money in the 5th frame. She bowled a strike. Now 3 in a row for Julie Gardner as she steps up in the 5th.
Julie has a really nice shot out there on the lane. She's playing the lanes a lot more direct. In other words, straighter through the heads down the lane or the front part of the lane. Anne-Marie's opening up the lane more or projecting it right in the front part of the lane. Right now, the best shot is the way Julie's playing the lanes.
Julie's best finish was this year was in Richmond, Virginia, where she finished 6th, just missing the stepladder finals.
Yeah, see, she has room both ways. If she pulls it, it slides into the pocket. If she lets it out, it'll come back.
Now Anne-Marie, after bowling 3 spares, an open frame in the 4th, and a strike in the 5th, hopefully has it dialed in. Yes. Now she's happy.
Yeah, and she was close. She just wasn't carrying as well. And sometimes, you know, the different angle into the pocket, one time it'll carry better if you open up a lane, and the next time it won't. So she just had to figure out the right angle of entry into the pocket.
You can't see it, but under her collar, she's wearing her lucky charm that Betty and Pat gave to her. They sort of adopted her out here, and the charm is now working. You know, Anne-Marie is somebody you can never write off because she moved from 9th to 5th in this tournament in the final 8 games. So it was some nice bowling by Anne-Marie Dugan, and look out Julie Gardner. Anne-Marie hasn't thrown in the towel. Pressure's on. Let's see how she responds when we come back. We are back, and Tony Hall has selected a member of our audience. Wait a second, that's Jan Schmidt's mom, Vern Schultz, who's doing the drawing. And she picked the number 1, and that's from the Summit Lanes in Lee Summit, Missouri, and the name is Tom Yankee. Not Tom Met, but Tom Yankee. So let's get back to bowling now as we look at Julie Gardner, who has a 5-bagger in the works, but pressure from Anne-Marie Dugan, who bowled 3 in a row herself. We're up in the 7th frame. She leads by 34 pins.
Julie looks awfully comfortable for somebody
does.
who's only made 1 single show prior to this and 1 double show. So it's her 3rd telecast.
There goes the string.
Now leaving that 10 pin. Just wants to keep covering up the spare. I know Anne-Marie's striking, but Julie has to keep it clean.
Julie Gardner would also like to thank Bill Calhoun, who was very instrumental in her success here this week.
Covers up the spare nicely, so she's going to keep the pressure on Anne-Marie Dugan, not giving her any open frames.
Said she has a new focus, quit her job at the bowling center to dedicate herself to this full time. Now, this is going to be a real test of how calm she really is inside, because this isn't an easy shot.
No, she has the 2-8. Has to make sure that she covers both pins with the ball. Now, interesting choice. She's using her spare ball here, which will not hook a lot, instead of playing her strike line into it. And pros will they'll go back and forth. They'll do whatever they feels right for the condition they're bowling on, but see what happens.
Oh, got the behind one, but oh.
It's very
That's a
difficult.
tough shot. That's
yeah.
a tough shot. You taught me that earlier this year.
If you use your spare ball, it's not going to hook. So you don't have much percentage of error. You have to hit it dead on. If you're using a ball that's hooking across into it, you have some room. But she must not have felt comfortable with her shot, assuming that the ball would not hook across.
Get up, ball. You heard her. Get up, ball. And it's a 4-bagger for Anne-Marie Dugan. And now that deficit is down to just 10 pins as she claws her way back into it, just like she did in those final 8 games. Got herself into the show. Going into the final 8 games, she was in 9th place with only 8 games. It was a very, very close competition here last night.
She made a huge run that whole day. She started the last day in 17th.
Wow.
And then moved to 9th in the morning, shooting about 300 over, and then moved to 5th the last round.
Come on. That's all she needed. So it's a 5-bagger for Anne-Marie Dugan. And we've got ourselves a brand new ball game. Now, here's where the pressure is going to mount. Let's see how Julie Gardner responds.
Well, it's all even. Julie, because of her choice, will get to finish the match first. If she strikes out here, she can force Anne-Marie to strike out to tie.
Step one. And that's just how you have to look at it, one at a time, one at a time.
And this is what she wanted when she made that choice. She wanted to set the pace. She didn't want to get up there and know, I have to have it. A little bit left to target, but holds pocket because of the conditioner in the middle of the lane.
There you see the numbers. 5-bagger for Anne-Marie on top. See if Julie Gardner can strike out. No, a late reaction, but woo! I like that when that happens. That's dramatic.
Anne-Marie is watching. Now, I'm not used. Usually she won't watch sometimes on those shots. I noticed last night in position round she was not watching Carolyn Doran Ballard make her shots.
It's hard not to peek. Oh. Now that I don't like to see.
Now that count is huge because number one, at 8 count on a double, she's losing 2 pins, and she's only going to get 1 of these pins, so she's going to lose 3 pins as a result of that.
And when we were even going into this frame. Oh boy. You only get 1. So it's a 233 for Julie Gardner, and the door is now open for Anne-Marie Dugan.
She will need the first strike, though, because Julie did get the first strike.
It's to match her there.
And then it'll go to pinfall. If she got 8 spare or 9, 9 would be enough.
Come back. Ooh, and that's it.
Whoa. I heard her say sorry. I can only assume she was looking back to her husband, Pat Dugan, who has really helped her. Pat Dugan and Fred Borden have gotten her game back on track.
That's it. So a stunning finish as Anne-Marie Dugan sees the Samstown Invitational once again elude her. No Triple Crown for her in 1998. But Julie Gardner, she moves on up the ladder. She'll face Debbie Ranella next.
As we said earlier in the program, Samstown Hotel, Gambling Hall, and Bowling Center has just undergone a complete facelift with all new lanes and equipment provided by AMF. Earlier this week, they held a reopening ceremony and a charity bowling event. Mike Kaufman introduced Dick Weber, the guest of honor, and the Vice President and Marketing Director for Samstown, Vince Manfredi, who intros Samstown Senior Vice President and General Manager Joe Fiscaldo and his partner Don Schneider. Also Dick's partner Marianne Boyd Johnson. Of course, Weber shows the crowd that he still can strike and wants to win the 10 grand for his charity. But it's up to the team of Joe Fiscaldo and Don Snyder.
Standing, Don will shoot the spare. If you get all 10, $10,000 goes to match. If you don't, then Don will have the opportunity to pick up the spare and still get $10,000.
Why don't you just get a strike, Joe? You got it. Come on, Joe. This is for the kids, right?
Get him off, Joe.
Okay, here's what we have. We're at $7,000 right now.
All right. Good shot, Joe. Okay. This is for match.
It was a fun day for everyone, and once again, charity was the winner.
And now, who will be the winner of our second match? Julie Gardner ousted Anne-Marie Dugan 233 to 208. She now faces Debbie Ranella, the number 3 seed. And Ranella said, Gardner, you're going first this time. None of this nonsense of you having control at the end. You're going to have to finish up and force me to strike out possibly. Well, you saw her high game. She was one of our 300 bowlers, 110, 300 games we had this week, and she's on her way now.
Right, Debbie decided to change the tables on Julie there.
From Akron, Ohio. It's a 4-year-old son named Dylan. And Dylan's a big reason why she doesn't come out on tour all the time.
Going up high on her first shot. Different style here. Debbie Ranella, very straight player, just kind of points it up at the pocket. She has a real good starting position, bent knees, a 4-step approach. Watch how she just pulls the ball up toward the pocket. Does not count on a lot of hook out of her ball. Doesn't really have the release for the ball, but she feels that keeps her more consistent on more conditions.
Her high game this week was 289, so the numbers were quite lofty here at Samstown. We saw some nice pictures of the refurbishing.
You notice also she's not using grips. That's something she talked to me about. She wants to use grips, but her hands swell, shrink and swell so much that she's having trouble getting the grips to fit her right. This way she can insert tape in the finger holes.
I'll tell you, her fingers were pretty chewed up too. You could see how bowling 56 games really takes its toll. Once again, a look at Julie Gardner. She said one of her mom's friends took her bowling at the age of 12. That's how she got started in the sport, as you look at that score of 233 to 208 in her first match.
Oh, saw a couple of those last game. 7-pin just not going out. Now, Julie said it was interesting to talk with her last night and hear her talk about, well, now that I'm bowling full time, I have to look for tournaments to bowl when I'm off. I'm actually, that's my job. And she said, I've never had to go about that before. And so it's a whole different mental outlook on bowling.
And she used to work at a bowling center, gave that up, and is dedicating herself full time to being a professional athlete. And, you know, you wake up one day and say, wow, now this is my life, and I have to plan a little better and fill my calendar for all 52 weeks of the year and focus on training and the mental approach. It's a little more complicated than just standing up there and throwing a ball.
Good match play record there, 16-7-1.
Explains why she got into the stepladder finals. Oh, that's, I call a crumble drop. They just teeter-tottered over.
Crumble drop, a new word for
A new word for bowling.
Crumble drop, I'm writing that down right now, crumble drop.
Now you're taking a look at the fingers of Debbie Ranella, who you mentioned earlier. They swell, they shrink, they swell, and the grip situation is tricky for her.
Yeah, they're pretty chewed up. She had a lot of new skin on them.
Oh,
she made a move on that lane. She came high last time. She moved into the conditioner a little more and didn't get any reaction.
is the same shot we saw Julie Gardner have to make against Anne-Marie Dugan, and she only picked up the sleeper. This is a tough shot.
Well, Debbie's going to use her strike ball.
A little different because
Right, although she doesn't really hook it much, but she's using this ball. In fact, used this ball all week. One bowling ball plus a spare ball for corner pin.
and she did it. Nice shot by Julie Gardner, making chicken salad out of chicken feet.
Actually,
I'm sorry, it was Debbie Ranella.
Yeah,
My
Debbie.
apologies. Julie Gardner was one when she had that shot. Only
Right.
got the back one.
see, she played it more from the right, had a better angle into it, so even though the ball deflected a bit, it was still going left and was able to take out the 8-pin. Debbie had this ball drilled last Wednesday by Don and Hank at the Cutting Edge in Akron, Ohio. She wanted to thank them. She used it the entire week, as I said, except for a spare ball for 10 pins. That was a good shot.
You know, we mentioned that Anne-Marie Dugan's husband is out here. Debbie Ranella has the same luxury. Her husband, John, is here. And the reason they could both be here was her mom, Lil, said she'll watch Dylan. You guys go out and see if he can bring back some money. And oh boy, are they going to do that.
They sure are.
I think Mom was thinking more of the gaming tables and her possibly winning out here. And here she is, number 3 in the stepladder finals.
Julie's staying very composed.
You see, this is her first TV appearance. Her best finish, as I said, was 6th at Richmond. Prior to that, 19th in Terre Haute. Was her next best finish.
little bit of a flat 10 there. We're not seeing as many strikes as we thought we'd see as we came into this telecast, into the conditioner a little bit. Watch, it's going to slide, slide, slide. The 3-pin hits the 6. The 6 goes into the channel. Doesn't create the domino effect it would if the ball drove a little bit harder.
And she marks in every frame here in this her second match. Opened against Anne-Marie Dugan, now facing Debbie Ranella. Neither one of them a winner in 1998. And what an unusual story Debbie Ranella is, entering just one event, this event. And here she is on TV.
Well, and Julie talked about only she was on the double show here last year, and then a single show in the fall of '96 in Delaware, and that's it for her for TV shows.
And her doubles partner is Cheryl Daniels. As we look now at Debbie Ranella. She won here in 1987. And her match play record is very good, 16-7-1.
30 bonus pins per match that you win.
You know, she said between working at UPS, having the young child, who's just 4 years old, she doesn't have the time to bowl in the leagues that she used to bowl in. It was, you know, a couple of nights a week, that league play. Now she bowls mixed leagues on the weekends, and that's it.
And here's a look at that strike. Coming in about half pocket, but blowing the pins because of her angle of entry. The ball's not driving through like you'd see other players do. She sometimes will carry that half pocket hit that you wouldn't see other players carry.
Looks like she's found her mark. That is her third strike of this match with 3 spares to mark in every frame. Who will it be, Gardner or Ranella? Stick around for the outcome. Welcome back. The Bud Frame Hall of Fame tournament draw continues here. You saw from Summit Lanes in Lee Summit, Missouri, we drew the name of Tom Yankee. Now we're ready to draw for the Brunswick Azalea Lanes. Let's go to our Tony Hall, who's standing by with the bowling proprietor from Texas, Bob Freehofer. It is the number 1 on the sheet, and that belongs to, it looks like Roger May, M-A-Y, from the Brunswick Azalea Lanes in Marietta, Georgia. But this is Julie Gardner, and she has a very close match on her hands with Debbie Ranella. You saw her average on the TV pair. She is 9 pins out of the lead.
Ooh, coming up light. I thought that was a pretty good shot. I thought she was bright enough into the dry to get it to react. Apparently not. And now going to use her spare ball to shoot this. Now just the 2-pin, which will be a much easier spare, and she would want to use a spare ball.
So she converts. It's interesting that we are seeing Julie Gardner out here, and she says, you know, over the past few weeks, she's had a new change in her attitude.
Came about 3 weeks ago. I was bowling next to Carolyn Doran-Ballard, and I watched how she bowled, and she was just concentrating on every single shot that she threw, like 100%. And I realized that in my game, I didn't as much as she did, and I think it really paid off because I paid attention, and I think it really helped me out this week.
And there's Carolyn Doran-Ballard, her inspiration, her motivator. And Jen, you said she's not the only bowler, meaning Julie Gardner, who has referenced Carolyn Doran-Ballard as a role model.
Right, and I know Kim Adler at one point had said, you know, I watched how Carolyn focuses 100% aggressive on every single shot, and several players have noticed that, and I bet Carolyn's very happy that that helped Julie this week, and Carolyn finished 6th, and Julie made the show, huh? What do you think? No,
she's going to have to put out a new attitude. You know, there's something interesting about that because, you know, the whole bowling process begins, you know, with fun with your friends as a little kid and age group, and then it evolves up to maybe some sort of league play, and again, it's sociable and fun. And it doesn't really become this mental focus until you start climbing and climbing and climbing in the process. And then you have to realize, gee, out here, it's fun, yes, but you can't be out there where Debbie Ranella is standing right now, or where Julie Gardner is, and have the fun attitude. This is a business, this is competitive, and there's a big paycheck at the end of the day if you stay focused.
And I think that's the hardest part for most players, to be able to turn that on and turn that off, because if you're 100% that way the entire time, even off the lanes, you can't enjoy your life because you're out here 3/4 of the year. So you have to be able to turn it on and off. Debbie shoots a spare there. Debbie's having trouble on lane 20. She doesn't seem to have an in-between. Seems to be a little wet dry for her.
So we are now in the 8th frame and just 8 pins apart. She threw a 16-pound ball, but even that wasn't enough to knock down that 10.
Hempin again, and you may wonder, Debbie having won this in 87, made the show in 90. We see her on the show almost every time she comes out. Hasn't been out in 7 years. Why isn't she bowling? It was a very interesting story when she said 15 years ago she was filling out the membership application to come out on tour full-time when UPS called her and said, come on to work for us full-time.
And it was a very tough decision because she had applied to UPS and was on some sort of waiting list, and then finally she got the call. She didn't know what to do, and she opted 15 years ago to go with UPS and kind of gave up the professional dream. It just comes out occasionally. But she said now that Dylan's a little older, she might be seen a little more often. Julie Gardner doesn't have such pressures. As you look at her maximum score of 229, she just has 20 people she has to answer to back home who bought a share in her future. Renella's maximum score is 226. That's, of course, if everyone goes off the page, advantage Gardner. But,
Well, I don't know about that. We haven't seen too many strikes this game.
no, and this is still very much in the air.
Though Julie's down by 7, the reason she would have the advantage is because she's on a strike right here. So she can take the lead with the strike here in the 9th frame.
Well, now, maybe we will see a maximum score. Bite my tongue.
You mentioned Debbie's mom, Lil. She wanted to make sure we didn't forget her dad and hi to her dad and thanks. She said her dad made her game, John. He's the one who taught her and got her bowling. So she wanted to thank him for all of his advice and support over the years.
Oh,
And there it is, lane 20. Hit the nose last shot, made a small move, and it doesn't get up. So she definitely has a problem, but she has the advantage, and that may be a part of her choice here also, because she's going to get to finish on lane 19. She may have known that, set that in the conditioner a little farther left, and look at that, it slid. Actually, the farther she pulls the ball left, the less likely she is to get to the head pin, because she's hitting more conditioner, and it's backing off.
she said conditions affect her less because she doesn't cover the boards.
And for the most part, that is the case. But right now, she doesn't appear to have a really good shot on lane 20.
You got that from the Brooklyn side. She said she also is a little bit luckier because this sport is not her life. She came out here for fun. There's no pressure. She doesn't have the sponsors. It's not like this is a paycheck that contributes to her livelihood. So we see her maximum score has now dropped to 215.
And that's a good point. That makes it a lot easier for some of these players coming out here if they don't need that to live on.
Lightens the burden.
Big shot there because she can take the lead back over with another strike. Julie sitting back. Okay, I'm going to have the pressure on me.
And Marie Dugan, our fifth place finisher, collected $7,000. The loser of this match will collect $8,000. And then we'll move up to 5 figures. Oh boy.
Well, that strike right there and any kind of pin count here is going to force Julie to strike in the 10th.
Now Julie's trying to look so cool and confident. I know her heart is racing and her palms are sweating.
It was sweating when she came over just for her headshots earlier today.
It made her nervous.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's trying to get that heart to calm down right now.
Oh, a crumble drop. And a 215 for Debbie Ranella. The strike is what is needed for Julie Gardner in the 10th here. Wonder what she's saying to herself. Of course, when you said the word headshot, we're talking about when we take the ladies' pictures at the beginning of the telecast and they're smiling there for those matchups. She was all nervous for that. She just had a smile. I would think the bowling is much harder than smiling. Now she just needs 9 pins.
We'll need 9 pins on this ball in order to not have to make another shot. If she were to get 8, she'll have to step up and knock down those pins.
Remember, 4th place is worth $8,000. 3rd place is $10,700. So it's $2,700 shot coming up here, maybe even more if she climbs further up the ladder. Oh, got them all. Softly, killing me softly. And Julie Gardner does just that. She moves up the ladder, eliminating Debbie Ranella, who walks home with $8,000 in her pocket. We will be back with a special feature, but first, these messages. Here's a chance to see Jan Schmidt and I hard at work here at Samstown. But we're doing a special feature right now. Major League Baseball has its Iron Man in Cal Ripken. Well, the PWBA has its Iron Woman in this lady, Jan Schmidt. Not only does she hold the record for consecutive matches bowled, but Jan Schmidt has done something else for bowling. She works very hard behind the scenes, as you're about to see. We caught up with her at a recreational moment at a friend's swimming pool. For over 13 years, Jan Schmidt has been one of the most respected women on the PWBA Tour. In addition to her WIBC Queen's title in 1993, Jan Schmidt has been inducted into both the Chicago and Illinois WBA Halls of Fame. Prior accolades notwithstanding, this week's Samstown Invitational marks both a personal and PWBA milestone. She has now bowled in 200 consecutive tournaments dating back to 1989.
Now that I look at it, 200 consecutive tournaments really is impressive. It's nearly 10 years of not missing a tournament, and I wasn't even aware of it till the end of last year when someone mentioned that I was up over 170, and then I thought, wow, you know, maybe I could get to 200. It's just, in all sports, that would be something incredible, 10 years of not missing a tournament, but I think in bowling it's even more so because it's so physically demanding, it's so one-sided, a woman's body, it's so hard for us to be throwing 14, 15, 16-pound bowling balls, but more so than that is the lifestyle we live out here. We aren't making the money that some of the other athletes are making, so we don't have the luxuries of maybe always flying to a stop, of having someone carry our equipment and someone carry our 70-pound suitcases. We do all of that on our own, so I think more than anything, that's the hardest part.
What makes this accomplishment unique is that while bowling is a big part of her life, it is just a small part of her overall package. Schmidt serves as a PWBA television analyst and the PWBA marketing director. She has traveled to South Africa with other members of the PWBA as an international goodwill ambassador. She is also involved in many PWBA charities, including the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and has appeared on the telethon as a representative of the PWBA and Strike 10 Entertainment. And this year, she presented MDA with a check for $1.5 million from the bowling industry. It is a time-consuming schedule, but one she finds very, very gratifying.
MDA has been a charity close to my heart for a long, long time, and I really don't know why. From the time I was a young child, to see kids that couldn't do what I could do was so huge to me. I've always been involved with that. I've always forced my parents to call during the telethon and donate. And I do a lot of things with MBA kids. We just did it a few weeks ago at one of our stops. Do bowling with them, do clinics with them. And that's something that I always want to be involved in, because outside the corporate world, that type of thing, and not only MDA but other charities, is something that I can do that I could really never do in the corporate world. Not the way I can with bowling. So in that regard, I think I'll always be there in bowling.
Charitable obligations, family commitments, and the everyday aches and pains of being a professional athlete are a testament to her dedication to the sport.
I think luck is probably the #1 factor. Now that I've looked back, it's incredible how many things would have to go right in order for someone to bowl for 10 years and not miss a tournament. Not only physically, I've bowled through so many injuries, some I probably shouldn't have, but just family things having to go right and coordinate with the schedules. You have special occasions you have to be at. You have problems and emergencies that arise and tragedies. And though many times I went back and forth and, you know, in between stops, flying home for 2 days and going back, everything for me has worked around my schedule, and that's absolutely incredible, and there's nothing else you could contribute that to but luck.
Bowling has been a part of Jan's life since the age of 9. Life on the road away from her family, as well as the pressures of the many, many hats she wears, has made her contemplate the future in this sport and in her career.
200, I'll tell you. A par in bowling, in professional bowling, is 200. And for me to reach that number at the end of this year, I think it's a sign, and somebody's trying to tell me, that's it, 200 for bowling. And I think I should take off one of those hats and retire, or at least semi-retire.
And I say Jan Schmidt should do neither. Jan Schmidt should not be satisfied with par. You should continue to try to bowl above par, and I know a lot of the women out there don't want to see you walk away from this game. Let's go for 201, 202, and onward.
No.
All right, it's the Samstown Invitational. We are going to continue with our climb up the ladder. Julie Gardner takes on Marianne DeRupo. Who's going to come in second? We'll find out after this. Once again, a reminder, our Bud Frame Hall of Fame tournament will have Tom Yankee representing Summit Lanes in Lee Summit, Missouri. Roger May will represent the Brunswick Azalea Lanes in Marietta, Georgia. And now Tony Hall is standing by with Carol Norman's mom, Loretta, for another drawing. This will be for the Forest Hills Lanes in Loves Park, Illinois. The number she picks is 3, and that belongs to Terry Gagliano. Terry Gagliano, you will represent Forest Hill Lanes in St. Louis, Missouri. And now it is time for Marianne DeRupo to face Julie Gardner. Marianne pointed at her and said, "You're bowling first, kid." So she will.
Well, she definitely wants the pressure to be on Julie, and Marianne may like lane 19 better and wants to finish there.
You see the number, 229 to 215. She ousted Debbie Ranella and opens with a strike. And there, it's kind of a way to kind of thumb your nose to somebody who said, "You wanted me to start? Okay, I start with a strike." Of course, Marianne DeRupo is the queen of strikes this week. 300 games if you're just joining us, 2 of them back to back. Oh my. Nice smooth delivery. Good looking shot. And I'd have to say it now that if she bowls a 300 game on television, MasterCard will present her with a check for $50,000. And you know they're sweating at MasterCard right now because this woman has done so well here at Samstown this week. Conditions are right.
And not only would it get her $50,000 from MasterCard, but she would be the only professional man or woman to throw 5 300 games in a single event.
Okay, is it time to pull back? Maybe somebody in the crowd moved or she heard a noise. She regretted not pulling back on another shot that she had earlier. Turned out to not be a factor. She still qualified second here for the stepladder finals, but she said she's got to be ready and willing to do that. If she doesn't like something, pull back.
That's right, and she said it was in a later game and she could have shot a 5th 300 and she should have backed off and she didn't. And it was the only bad shot she made that game.
Well, already I feel the pressure, and we're only in the second frame.
Julie Gardner has her work cut out for her this game.
Absolutely. Although she had her work cut off her with Anne-Marie Dugan and handled it there. Did the same with Debbie Ranella in the second match.
That's true. She's risen to the occasion each time.
$53,000 this year. Said she virtually won nothing yesterday.
Some of the other finishers, Carolyn Dorn Ballard in 6th, went from 16th to 6th the last round, averaging nearly 252. Incredible. Michelle Arrington, it's her best finish yet. She was in the top 5 for most of the week.
Take a look at Carol Giannotti Block in the number 11 position. She's one of the strongest candidates for Bowler of the Year. And then, of course, you saw Carol Norman's name. Her mom just picked the winner of the Azalea Lanes. All right, the strike string has ended for Julie Gardner.
Yeah, coming up high, just hit the dry a little bit early. Ball jumped high. She's leading 6-8. Has to be careful not to chop this spare. Big smile on that conversion.
Yes, and there should be. Marianne Marianne DeRupo working on a two-bagger, steps up in the third frame. Rosemarie DeRupo is who she wants to say hello to. And you see the numbers on her, 14 career 300 games. 2 of them back-to-back this week. It's a lot of strikes. Oh, and it ends early. I think the only person smiling is the fellow representing MasterCard.
Yeah, I'm sure they are smiling. Well, leaving a 10-pin, you know, her first 2 balls drove pretty hard, came up pretty high, and she may have made a slight move there, because as the lanes would break down, she would have ended up punching the nose.
Jan spoke with Marianne DeRupo earlier and asked her about the 10th frame of her last 300 game, what her thoughts were.
Well, the last 300 game, I was in the 9th frame, and I was turning to the crowd and drinking my water, which I was doing between every single frame. I kind of got into a routine. And I find that when you get into a routine, you tend to forget what frame you're in. So I turned to the crowd and I said, what frame am I in? They said, you're going into the 10th. So to tell you the honest truth, I didn't even know I was in the 10th frame, and I had the first 9 in a row. But I will be honest with you, after the first one of the 10th, the second one I was a little bit nervous. I took a couple extra deep breaths and I executed a good shot. But I know no one's going to believe me, but the less you think about things and the more you concentrate on one little element, the better off you're going to be in the long run to execute shots.
Little lapse in concentration on that shot, Jan?
A little bit. An excellent point by Marianne, though. Stay in your routine. Try not to think about what's ahead of you, although I don't know how anybody could not think of that going for 2 consecutive 300 games. That was just a bad shot. She's changing balls to shoot at the spare.
And she knocks them off as Julie Gardner steps up.
Definitely didn't play that spare that way, but was fortunate to pick it up.
Julie Gardner leads by 2 pins. She opened with a couple of strikes, but then a spare in the third frame. Let's see if she can get herself back on track. It's her 3rd career TV appearance. Another, like, and high.
Yeah, high again. 3, 6, 7, 10. She's going to use her spare ball. She could have a shot at this spare. The lanes are drier toward the right. She may be able to pick it up. She wants to hit to the right of the 3-pin, hit the 3-pin very light, and shoot it across to the 7. Let the ball take out the 6 and 10.
Oh, and missed it. All right, at what point is it the yips that are getting to you, or is it the conditions are changing and she needs to adjust?
Well, I believe the conditions are starting to change out there. In addition to that, she had a long time, in between games there, and Marianne warmed up. She had time to sit and think about the fact that she's getting closer to winning her first event, and that's tough to handle.
The dollars and cents difference between 3rd place and 2nd place is in the neighborhood of $8,000. The 3rd place check is $10,700. The 2nd place check is $18,500.
Once again, changing balls to shoot or spare.
Settles in, gets the spare in the 5th. That has opened the door to 14 pins. Advantage to DeRupo.
During her string of 300s there, she ended the game before with 1 strike and started the game after the 2 300s with 1 strike, giving her 26 consecutive strikes. However, that's shy of the record. Right.
29 straight strikes. It's the record.
She comes up light. That record held by Cheryl Daniels, and that was done in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1989. So it stood for a long time.
It still stands.
And Marianne was awfully close.
How important are records? Is it records that you go after, or do they just happen along the way while you're pursuing shorter-term goals such as winning that match or making this shot?
I think pretty much they just happen along the way, with the exception of maybe, Lisa Wagner sitting over here tied with Alita with 30 titles. she's pursuing that record, I'm sure. She's trying to get to 31 titles. Alita's still pursuing the record of the first woman to $1 million when you're at those big records. But these kind, you know, the 300s, the average records, those types of things, they kind of happen before you know it.
Creep up. Come on, number 10.
You know, oftentimes the players don't realize they set the record until we tell them.
Uh-huh.
She made an interesting point in shooting those 300s that she felt it helped her who she was bowling against. They were friendlier, she relaxed more. One of those players, the first one, was Julie Gardner, who she's bowling right now. The other one being Lil Johnson. And she said that made a difference for her. She was more relaxed.
Another conversion for Marianne DeRupo. She still leads by 12 pins. We'll be back with the conclusion of this match right after this. When we went to our commercial break, Julie Gardner was trailing by 12 pins, but then came roaring back.
3 strikes in a row, moved her target in deeper and her feet in deeper, and now leading by 8 pins.
It's a 4-bagger for Julie Gardner as she puts the pressure on Marianne DeRupo.
Marianne struck and left a 7-pin while we were gone. A pretty good shot, but the 7 didn't go down.
There you see the maximum number for Marianne. She wants to say hey to her mom, Rosemary DeRupo, and the woman she calls her adopted mom, Sophie Hendershot. Both very influential in her game. As you look now at the maximum score for Julie Gardner at 242. So, pressure is certainly on Marianne DeRupo at this point. And who would have thunk it about Julie Gardner? She's just climbing all around. Yeah. She wasn't kidding when she said she got more focused like Carolyn Doran Ballard. She put on some sort of special vision glasses or something here. Down by 18. That's something she did not want to do in the 10th.
No, that was a huge shot. She really needed to strike out to force Julie to strike. Marianne playing up and at 'em here. She played the lanes. She's playing them more direct tonight than she did during the week. She used a ball with more surface and opened up the lane a little more during many of the rounds. She obviously felt the straighter approach was better tonight, but she hasn't been able to carry.
What a shame. She was looking so forward to having a good television final after the great week she has had here, having bowled 4 300 games and setting a PWBA record along the way. So it's a 203 for Marianne DeRupo.
And Julie will just need some good count here. She actually, I believe, needs an 8 count on her first ball.
It's over.
That's definitely enough.
That puts Marianne DeRupo in 3rd place from the number 2 seeded position. And number 4, Julie Gardner, gets a shot at the championship. There you see the dollars for DeRupo, $10,700. Julie Gardner is gunning for either $18,500 or $35,000. So as Julie Gardner continues her climb up the ladder, we're going to show you some other finishers.
Debbie McMullen only missed 3 cashes all year.
And Lil Johnson said Marianne DeRupo, she kept her calm. So Lil Johnson gets a little credit for some of those 300 games.
Laura Moriarty capping off a good year.
And it is the championship match, the final match of 1998, as Julie Gardner hugs Marianne DeRupo goodbye and says hello to Dee Dee Davidson. Welcome back to the Julie Gardner Show here at the Samstown Invitational. She eliminated Anne-Marie Dugan 233 to 208 in the first match, climbed up the ladder and took care of Debbie Ranella 229 to 215. In her third match, she ousted Marianne DeRupo 231 to 203. Very consistent bowling. So guess who has our no-nonsense shot of the day? None other than Julie Gardner.
This in the third match, one of her 5 in a row, the 6th through the 10th frames. She's done it all day. And they all look like that.
It's our shot of the day. Can she keep it up? There is one step away from Julie Gardner winning her first tournament, and that step is Dee Davidson. Davidson's pursuing the Triple Crown. Will she get it? A big question to be answered when we return to Las Vegas, Nevada in just a moment. This is the trophy. This is what they're battling for, in addition to a check that says $35,000. Dee Davidson against Julie Gardner, who so successfully has climbed the ladder to this point in time. Dee Davidson, our top qualifier, has pointed to Julie to bowl first. Interesting string that they have in common. Both of these women have bowled 300 before. Neither one of these women has won here at the Samstown Invitational. She hasn't won at all in 1998. It would be a big victory for her. And of course, Dee Davidson pursuing the Triple Crown, having won the Queens back in 91, having won the U.S. Open back in 93. Just would like to add this major to her portfolio.
Well, it's the third major in a row, 3 tournaments in a row that we've had majors, and Dee Dee has been second in both of the 2 prior to this.
That's how I like to see him start out. Nobody's blinking yet.
I want to take a minute and say happy 3/4 of a century to Oleta Ferris, Gail Ramsey's mother. Gail Ramsey is our tournament director, Rick Ramsey. Gail is his wife, so it's Rick's mother-in-law. Happy 75th, Oleta. Thanks for watching all of our telecasts.
Long-time viewer. 246, 235 was the score in match play. Advantage Davidson. It's her 8th show of 1998. It's her best year ever on the PWBA.
Best by far. 5 was her best before that.
Comes up a little light there. The interesting thing is that she's made 8 television appearances, and she had to miss a couple of events due to an injury.
Actually, yes, she missed 3 in a row, 4 events total, and had to withdraw from the Hammer Players Championship in Rockford. So all in all, 5 events not completed.
And converts the spare here in the second frame of this championship match. So far this year, Dee Dee's won $90,000. Last year, she won $13,000. So what a turnaround it was. Turnaround for this woman, too, who virtually won nothing last year. And already she's up above 50 grand.
I don't know if you saw as she stepped up for her first shot, she took a huge deep breath and said to herself, just make good shots.
Yeah.
See if she can relax herself.
And that 15 grand could be doubled very easily with, or even tripled if she goes for first place. Right now she's in control.
Well, she told us she doesn't like shootouts, high-scoring events. They're not her forte. However,
she might be singing a different tune after this tournament.
Yeah, I think she might have a different opinion of them.
And how cool is it to make your first big win right here at Samstown? A great way to end the year. Makes you so motivated for 1999. I'm gonna talk about MasterCard a little bit. She bowls a 300 game on television. She could win $50,000 from MasterCard. Dee Dee Davidson, by virtue of her spare in the second frame, and you see the $50,000 for a 300 game on television. And even though we've had 10 300 games here, they weren't on TV. Only the stepladder finals are televised. Dee Dee's spare in the second precludes her from winning that $50,000 paycheck, but right now she's bowling for $35,000. Oh! You'll rather be lucky than good.
Tripping that 6-8. Ball come in just a hair high flush here. The head pin off the wall. 6 pin falling left into the 8, taking it out from the bottom.
Wow.
Something else Dee Dee has accomplished this week is she has broken the all-time single-season average record that was held by Anne-Marie Dugan.
217.23, if you want to take it out to the decimals, 217 average.
For Dee Dee right now, right, Anne-Marie's record was 215.79 in 95. Wow.
Now,
She pulled that ball well right at target, crossing over Brooklyn, giving her a double, and she's going to take it. Look at this. It was right off her hand. Totally missed her target on that, but it crosses over, and she gets a break.
Julie Gardner, 3-bagger to open things up here in this championship match. Our number 4 seed climbing the ladder. Oh,
She didn't quite finish as much, leaving that 10 pin.
calls Huntington Beach, California home.
Well, she may call Samstown home pretty soon. You know, she was questioning whether she'd come bowl the Eliminator in January. I think she may decide to come and bowl it. It's a great event. Any scratch bowlers, you should come out and bowl the Eliminator here in January.
Oh, I can't imagine why Julie would miss something like that after her strong performance here. And it is so interesting when you talk to her. There you see $100,000 for first place at the Eliminator right here at Samstown.
And the way it works is a double elimination, and you have to beat only half of your field, your squad, to advance. It's not an individual match play format. And you can call 1-800-VEGAS-95 to sign up.
Good way to mix a little bowling in with a little vacation. Back on track is Julie Garner as Dee Dee Davidson steps up, working on a 2-bagger in the 3rd and 4th frames. She trails by 9. By qualifying first, she's gone over the $100,000 mark for 1998. She just bought a house that's being built in California, so we know that money's going to go to good use. You know, we talked about her missing those events, and she said that actually was good for her because it gave her more fire, more desire. You know that song, you don't know what you've got till it's gone?
That's right.
And it really made her take another look at bowling, and she just came back with a vengeance.
Yeah, she said she's practiced more than she ever has, bowled more than ever before, even though she's been injured.
She finished 9th in Lancaster back in September, then missed the 3 events, and then she had 2 seconds, and now she's a top seed here. So sitting at home and watching it on TV just put the fire in her belly. The pins are dropping here at Samstown. Who will be the champion? A first-time winner in 98 or the woman pursuing the Triple Crown? We'll have that answer right after these important messages. We are back, and Tony Hall is ready to pick our final number. Representing the Park Lanes in Anchorage, Alaska, will be the number 2, and that corresponds with the name Ken Tate. That's a nice, easy name. Ken Tate, you're going to represent Park Lanes in Anchorage, Alaska at the Bud Frame Hall of Fame tournament in St. Louis, Missouri. And Julie Gardner is representing herself here at Samstown as she pursues her first major, her first win of 1998. She and Dee Dee Davidson are in a very, very close battle.
Needs to continue striking.
Down by 11 when she pulled that strike. And now it's just 1.
1-pin match. Both players only missing 1 strike so far through 6 frames. There you see it.
In the 4th frame and then the 2nd frame, respectively, for Gardner and Davidson. Julie said she practiced prior to coming here, but then had to take 4 days off because she had a cold. I think that virus agrees with her.
I think so.
Breathe on me, breathe on me.
Well, you know, if you're in good enough shape and you've been bowling, it's okay to take a few days off. Sometimes it helps you mentally, to get prepared for an event.
2 second-place finishes for Dee Dee Davidson. She does want to make it a 3rd. She said this has been a wonderful week. A big strike for Dee Davidson. That's 5 in a row now. And neither bowler is relinquishing anything. So it's 5 in a row for Dee Davidson. She is ahead by 1 pin in front of Julie Gardner, and this is the championship match here at the Samstown Invitational. Gardner, a tremendous story, as a number 4 seed, climbing the ladder to meet this woman, the only lefty in the field. That being the stepladder field. Oh, that's ugly. Oh, that is ugly.
Okay, now Dee Dee is trying to stay calm. Look at this shot. It's going to hit about half pocket, but she's been carrying these. She's out about the first arrow. Watch it come in late. Head pin off the wall.
Went directly sideways, too, and came back and did nothing.
It's like, okay, well, she knows, you know, she carried to Brooklyn. This is a horrible break here. Shouldn't have happened. She takes one and is going to go on.
It's not bad that it's a 13-pin advantage now for Gardner, but what is bad is that Dee Davidson will be running out of frames. That was in the 8th frame that she got that split. Putting Davidson's maximum score at 246.
We'll see how Julie handles this.
Working on a 3-bagger, stepping up in the 8th. Make it a 4-bagger and a 23-pin lead. Crossing over to the 9th frame.
Here, watch her. Julie just took a breath. If you saw that, she's trying to relieve some tension. I'm very impressed with how she's handling herself in this position. Dee Davidson, oh my gosh. I mean, second, 2 majors in a row.
Second 3 tournaments in a row, too. Should that happen?
If it happens, right?
Should it happen?
I mean, it's all but happened right now.
Well, I got a funny feeling by looking at the determination in Dee Dee's eyes that she's going to refocus herself right now as she takes a re-rack on lane 20. She said, I'm going to make you work for it, kid. I'm not going to give it to you.
She can strike out to force Julie to mark. Because if she strikes out and Julie would go 9 on first ball and out, we could have a tie.
There's the strike. To start things up at 9. She's cool.
Actually, force her to mark. Yeah, not strike, but force her to mark.
279, the big number for Julie Gardner. She continues to go off the page. And we have seen some big numbers here this week. 10 300 games.
Oh. You know, Dee Dee, wow, I tell you, she just keeps putting herself there. You know, she wants to say to her dad, I know you want her, you know, to win here. I don't think it's going to happen, but happy belated birthday to her dad, Dave.
He had cataract surgery and came through quite well, as I understand it. Also say hey to her sister, who's here, Maria Lewis and Lori Zimmerman, who came to support her.
Thanks to all the guys at AMF Rocket Bowl who bowl with her and keep her competitive.
Eric Forkel, Robert Smith, Eddie Williams, everybody instrumental in helping this woman get to where she is right now. Oh, look at that. The little curtsy from Dee Dee as she finishes with a flare.
And I'll bet it's all this lady can do to get up and make
Oh,
this shot.
man, you got that right. What a way to end the year.
Just needs to keep it on the lane, that's all. Just knock down about 4 pins. Just keep it on the lane here, Julie. Stay behind the foul line.
I don't know if I could.
One more. I don't even know if she knows what she needs.
Well, she knows how to bowl those strikes. A great finish by Julie Gardner. She has sewn it up. $35,000 to her, and we'll talk with her about it. But first, these messages. The Samstown Invitational is being brought to you by AMF Bowling Worldwide, the largest owners and operators of bowling centers in the world and one of the leading makers of bowling products. AMF always means fun. And by Budweiser and Bud Light, the official beers of bowling. And by MasterCard. There are some things in life money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. The final score was 268 to 226, making it a remarkable 240 average for our champion, Julie Gardner. Now let's go to Joe Pascaldo, the general manager here at Samstown, for the check presentation.
Well, Julie, congratulations. I want to present to you, in behalf of Samstown Hotel and Gambling Hall and Boyd Gaming, the largest check in PWBA history for $35,000 for winning today's tournament. Congratulations. Great job. Great job.
And now let's bring in Larry Kind. He is the Senior Vice President of AMF Bowling Products.
Julie, great job this week. You beat some great competition. And I'd like to present you, on behalf of AMF, the Samstown Invitational Trophy.
Thank you very much.
Julie, a fantastic job out there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Mike Kaufman and Samstown and all the staff here for all their support and all the hard work they did this week. And also AMF and Visionary, who supported me all week also, and all of you out there who supported me, the fans. You guys are great, and I thank you very much.
You worked on your intensity this week and focusing on shots. Did it pay off?
I think so. I still can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm standing up here talking to you guys. So this is great. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Well, congratulations certainly are in order. This is one hot bowler, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in 1999. A great job. A great, great job. A reminder that you can see the PWBA on ESPN on The Deuce in 1999 at Marietta, Georgia, beginning February 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. For everyone who's contributed to a great 1998, thank you. For Jan Schmidt, I'm Leandra Raleigh. To all the scorekeepers and statisticians, we appreciate your hard work throughout the year. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports television, congratulates Julie Gardner, winner at Samstown.